Good morning, traders. It's Friday, January 31st. Taking a look at the charts, we're going to have some more volatility today. We've got lots of news coming out. The coronavirus global health emergency. We got Brexit day. It's Trump trial likely to end today. Lots of stuff going on. And this morning we had the World Health Organization declare the coronavirus outbreak a global emergency, and there's now 9,800 confirmed cases in China. The first cases were just reported in the UK. There's cases in Canada, and that is likely going to start a barrage of selling. It's going to slow everything. People aren't going to want to go out, go for dinners, go for coffees, and be around other people because this could be, catch on very quickly. So this is definitely not good for the stock market. Obviously, if the Trump trial ends today, that will most likely be very bullish for the stock market. So it's going to be volatile. We're going to have the yin and yang of the market kind of fighting each other and which direction it's going to go. The bias is to the downside at this point. Yesterday we had some stellar rally at the end of the day from about 2 o'clock on. Huge volume, lots of buying. Today we're getting some more selling. If you look at the price action here of the SP 500, you can see we had a sharp drop to the 20-day. It's still holding the 20-day, forming what looks to be a bear flag, and the 5-day and 20-day are getting close to crossing. More or less, we could very easily see another move to the downside here, and it could really set a big spark in the VIX and really start to flood the money out of equities and into the safe havens. If we take a look over at the bonds today. Yesterday they were trading up very nicely, ended up selling off with money moving back out of bonds and piling into stocks. Today they're going back into bonds. You can see we're holding up above this 5-day. We hit the 5-day moving average this morning, and we've got a really nice bounce in bonds. So overall, the bonds continue to have this high momentum move. At this point, they're holding above the 5-day, and we could continue to see this run higher. If we look over at, let's take a look over at gold. It's down 0.3%, but overall it is this chart shows us up. I'm not sure what's up with my quotes here. Anyway, gold is up a little bit today, even though the quote says it's down. But the pattern here looks really bullish. Looking like it's ready to pop and extend at any point. Obviously, we had this news base and this big blow off top, so this whole range is really going to act as a resistance zone. So we might see gold pop up. If it does, I think it's likely to be sold back down and potentially continue in this upper range near this high over here. Looking at silver, it's down 1% this morning. Overall, huge day yesterday, and it bounced with a strong bounce today. It's pulling back. It's sitting at the 5-day and the 20-day, more or less. Got a little bit overbought and seeing some profit taking there today. If we look over at gold miners are set to gap a little bit higher today. Overall, they had a nice recovery over the last 2 sessions ago, and they're holding up fairly well. Hopefully we'll hold this ground and we'll eventually start to see it move higher versus it breaking down and creating an A, B, C correction, which is a bullish thing, but obviously we'd have to live through a pull down, a pullback, and that it could drag out several weeks longer than what we anticipate. Looking over at, let's look at we've been talking about the transportation index, and what's interesting here is transportation index is having a pretty good pullback, and it's in this what could be a very large topping phase, and this could break down. And there was an article posted there talking about how commodity shipping prices plunged 99% after the virus hit the market, and obviously exports could get totally slammed or locked up and not shipped. So overall, this could definitely hurt the transportation sector. This might slowly continue to pick up speed to the downside, and we could see some bigger collapse in the transportation sector if this obviously air travel starts to stop. This sector should get hit pretty hard going forward. Looking over at energies, natural gas up 1% this morning. Yesterday, natural gas was constantly under pressure. It was a high volume day yesterday. Usually when you have high volume, that usually means it's a top or a bottom. And we'll see if we get some traction today. Overall, it's starting to show a little bit of life, up 1%. It's been testing down near our stop loss on our UNG play. Hasn't broken below it yet. And of course, we need a close below the day. So if it breaks it intraday, that doesn't mean we get out of it. We need the price to close at the end of the day. You can exit at the end of the day if it closes or is going to close below it, or you can exit the following session Monday if it does close below it. But at this point, we've got some legs behind it today. It's starting to pop. Hopefully, we'll see some type of oversold reaction, short covering for the end of the week. Everyone who's been short into the money now, they're going to want to get out probably for the weekend, lock in the gains, and that could spark a nice pop in natural gas. Hopefully, something really big. Looking over at crude oil, up 1/3% today. It is down at these longer term support levels down here. We've talked about this. It's going to chatter around. That's what it's doing. It's stuck under the 5-day as a high momentum move. But I feel as though it's something down like this where we're running under the 5-day. We're getting squished down at this support zone just like over here. We're going to get chatter where you see pops and drops. And then the market is going to consolidate. And the big question is, does it break to the upside or do we have a massive break to the downside, which will bring us down to 44. Next target after that is 33. So if this big support level ends up getting broken over the next couple weeks, a big chatter here and then a breakdown, it could get really ugly for crude oil. Just to touch on the U.S. dollar there, yesterday the dollar fell quite a bit, and I think that was one of the reasons we saw gold, silver really have a strong pop. And if you look at the price action here in the dollar, it is trending to the downside in terms of this time frame. It had a nice uptrend. Now it's gone A, B, C. It has had a big C, A, B, C correction. In the grand scheme of things, it's still making a series of these major higher highs, higher lows constantly, and this is still that case. But we could very easily see this. If this level here is broken, this previous low that it came down to test here, if this is broken, this will then go into a downtrend and we see the dollar fizzle out and collapse. That will send commodities through the roof, more specifically gold, silver, and miners. And one pullback yesterday created a huge pop in silver, 2.5% or so. Had a strong pop in gold. Simply money piled into equities in a huge way yesterday. Some news and more or less it pulled the metals and the miners back a little bit. But overall, if this dollar has this much downside potential, you can only imagine what gold and silver and miners could do if this level is broken. And the levels I'm drawing here are pretty straightforward. We're looking at we got this level. You could argue more or less the market goes from a saw blade where it goes higher, higher, and then eventually the blade turns the other way and it makes these series of down blades, and of course they pick up speed going down until eventually you have some type of washout, and then of course it'll change direction. So overall, this bandsaw or this round saw blade has been trending higher, and now it's trending lower, and obviously once it gets vertical and goes straight down, that's usually near the end of that trend. So we got some downside potential here in the dollar, which means really strong potential for gold, silver, and miners if this downtrend continues in the dollar. Anyways, that's it for this morning, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.